Ready to dive in? We're tackling sleep research today, but not just any research. We're looking at where it gets published. The journal Sleep. You sent over a ton of info about it, and honestly, the thing that grabbed me, it's the official journal of the Sleep Research Society. That's like the dream team of sleep experts, right? So we know this journal's legit. And to help us unpack all this, what makes sleep so important, we've got our expert here, ready to learn some stuff.
Being the official journal is a big deal for sure. Think of it like this. Researchers are all working on this giant puzzle understanding sleep. Sleep is where they bring those puzzle pieces, see how they fit, build the bigger picture.
Okay, love the analogy. We're talking a monthly journal here, peer-reviewed. That's a lot of puzzle pieces coming out. Makes you wonder, what earns a spot in Sleep? Luckily, you sent the author guidelines, so we're peeking behind the scenes. And let me tell you, this category is a manuscript section. Wild. I mean, original articles, sure, that tracks. But then, perspectives. Point, counterpoint. It's like they're having scientific debates in a sleep journal.
It's not just presenting data, right? These categories show how dynamic scientific inquiry is. Imagine researchers at a conference, debating findings, challenging interpretations. That's the energy these formats bring to sleep.
So it's beyond, here's what we found, it's what does it mean? I'm into this already.
Exactly. Like point, counterpoint. Say there's debate on blue light and sleep. Two researchers, opposite views, lay out their evidence, interpretations, high-level sparring, but with real-world implications.
Okay, way more interesting than I thought a journal could be. But it's not all debate, right? There's a whole ethics section. I mean, we are talking sleep, not mind control.
Good point. Ethics are huge in any science, especially with human subjects. And sleep is clear. Informed consent, privacy, even the language used to describe people, it's all covered.
Yeah, that people-centered language thing stood out to me too. So not just the science, but how it's done ethically.
Exactly. Even small things, like respectful language, change how we view those in the studies. Recognizing their humanity, not just data points.
Love that. Respect matters. But let's be real. I'm a podcast host, not a scientist. Can regular folks access this research? Or is it behind some paywall?
This is where it gets cool. Sleep is big on open access. After 12 months, articles are free online. No subscriptions, no fees, just sleep science at your fingertips.
No way. So anyone online can read the latest sleep research. Talk about knowledge for everyone. What used to be stuck in some university library is now available to anyone who's curious.
Exactly. Game changer. More people engage with the research students, clinicians, even you. New ideas, collaborations, who knows?
Okay, before we go too far, gotta know, what are these sleep researchers up all night working on? What's hot in latest articles?
Well, you picked some interesting titles. One that caught my eye. Probabilistic sleep staging.
I'm no scientist, but that sounds complex. Why should I care how accurately we measure sleep stages? I mean, I know if I'm asleep.
It's more nuanced than you think. Accurately identifying those stages, light sleep, deep sleep, REM, that's vital for diagnosing and treating sleep disorders.
Ah, so better measurement could change sleep medicine. That is cool. What else? Ooh, mouthful. Prospective associations between sleep, sensation-seeking, and mature screen usage in early adolescence. Findings from the Adolescent Brain Cognitive Development ABCD study. Could I get that right? That's like sleep, teens, and screens all in one.
Covers a lot. And it highlights another big research area for sleep. Sleep, tech, and how young people develop. Given how much screen time kids have, understanding its impact on their sleep and brains is crucial.
Totally. We had dial-up, these kids practically born online, figuring out how that affects their sleep, huge.
Right. Understanding a rapidly changing world. But even with cutting-edge stuff, Sleepy doesn't forget the basics. You even flagged their plagiarism review section. Might seem dry, but...
Wait, plagiarism? In science, seriously. I thought researchers were above that. Isn't that like academic dishonesty 101?
You'd think. But any field can have bad actors. Sleep takes this seriously. They've got procedures to catch and prevent plagiarism, keeps the research trustworthy.
Right, if you're trusting a journal, you got to know the research is legit, done ethically, not stolen ideas.
Exactly, and it's not just plagiarism. Sleepy has guidelines on things like duplicate publication, trying to publish the same thing twice, or even text recycling, reusing your own old work without being upfront.
Wow, so real sticklers for transparency and honesty. Got to respect that.
Absolutely. But they're not just about rules, they adapt too, like their section on preprint repositories and prior publication.
Preprint repositories. New one on me. Explain it like I'm 5.
It shows how research is changing. In the past, findings were public after peer review, officially in a journal, but with the internet, sharing earlier is growing before that formal review.
So a sneak peek at science in action.
Kind of. Preprint repositories are online platforms. Researchers upload drafts, get feedback from others, share findings faster.
Interesting. Not just guarding knowledge, but new ways to discuss it, like we're doing, but, less official.
Exactly. And Sleep gets it. They let you submit manuscripts that were on preprints as long as you're open about it.
That's forward thinking. Not just strict standards, but encouraging openness and collaboration. Very 21st century.
Precisely. That balance is crucial, especially in a field as fast-moving as sleep science.
Well said. Before we move on, gotta acknowledge, sleep isn't an island. It's part of a bigger system of organizations into sleep.
For sure. We talk Sleep Research Society, who publishes it, but there's others, like the AAM, American Academy of Sleep Medicine, setting standards, advocating for sleep health.
And the researchers. They're the ones doing the work, pushing boundaries. Their passion fuels this whole thing.
Couldn't agree more. Sleep might be the stage, but researchers are the stars, bringing these insights to light.
Well said. Okay, we've done ethics, open access, preprints. Haven't even gotten into submitting manuscripts. And that stuff is surprisingly interesting.
Oh, totally. The manuscript format requirements are a goldmine for anyone curious about how publishing works. Believe it or not, it's fascinating, even if you're not a sleep researcher.
Don't hold out on me. What gems did you dig up?
First off, Sleep now takes format-neutral submissions. Fairly new, but big.
Format neutral. So I can scribble research on a napkin. Good science is good science.
Not quite. But it means less stress on perfect formatting during initial submission. Focus on the content, the good stuff. If it's accepted, then they follow specific guidelines before publishing.
Show us your groundbreaking research. We'll worry about the font later. Got it. Streamlines things.
Exactly. And more journals are doing this, being flexible and user-friendly.
Good change. What else jumped out?
You like the Sleepy doesn't charge for color figures.
Seriously. Some journals still do that. What is this? The Dark Ages.
You'd be surprised. Leftover from when printing was expensive, but totally outdated now. Sleep ditching that fee is great, especially since color is vital for some data.
Absolutely. Brain imaging, sleep graphs, all that visual stuff. Color makes it understandable and engaging.
Exactly. They get it. Clear communication moves the field forward.
Speaking of which, they have a whole details of style section. I'm a word nerd, I get it. But a style guide for science.
Seems much, but it matters. How we communicate findings is as important as the findings themselves. Unclear writing, jargon, even just boring stuff. It blocks understanding, even for experts.
So it's not just the science, it's the storytelling.
Yes. Right, and Sleep gets it. They have guidelines on everything from that people-centered language to specific terms for sleep medicine.
And I see a whole abbreviation section. Don't want readers drowning in acronyms.
Exactly. Clarity and accessibility. Anyone, no matter their background, should be able to read Sleep It and understand.
That's awesome. Not just for the sleep experts, then. They want to reach a bigger audience.
Precisely. And that's what's exciting, at the forefront of sleep science and how it's communicated.
Now I'm curious about citations. What's their take?
Strict on those. They use AMA-style American Medical Association, which is standard for medical journals.
Why so important?
Citing sources does a few things. One, gives credit, acknowledges whose work came before.
Giving props to the intellectual ancestors, nice.
Exactly, but it's also about transparency. Readers can check the original sources themselves.
Builds trust. Makes sense. Now this really surprised me. Guidelines for video submissions. Videos in a journal. That's high tech.
It is, but it makes sense. Tech changes. So does communicating research. Video can be amazing for complex data or procedures. More engaging, more accessible.
Oh, for sure. Sometimes seeing is better than reading, especially for, surgical techniques or lab setups.
Right, and Sleep is on it. Guidelines for video format, captions, even getting releases from people in the videos.
Love that they're using new tech, being innovative about sharing knowledge. Okay, before we get to the Sleep Reviewer Academy, which sounds amazing, what about those tables and figures in articles? Got rules for those?
Absolutely. Specific guidelines for how to format and submit them. Even have rules for supplemental materials.
Supplemental materials like the DVD extras, but for sleep research.
You could say that. It's for extra info, not essential for the main article, but for those who want to go deep. Big data sets, statistical stuff, extra figures, that kind of thing.
For the hardcore science fans, optional for everyone else.
Exactly. Giving enough detail without overwhelming anyone.
Balance. Right. Speaking of, we've talked submitting a manuscript. But what about the other side? The reviewers, the editors, the ones deciding what gets in. What about them?
That's where the review process section comes in. fascinating look at how it really works. Every sleep manuscript goes through peer review, which...
Back again, diving deeper into sleep, where sleep science hits the page. And we left off at peer review, that mysterious system deciding what research makes it.
It's about quality and rigor, like a detective on a case before it goes to trial.
Ooh, I like that. So walk us through it. Sleep scientist sends their work to sleep.
Yeah.
What happens?
First stop, editor's desk. They're the initial filter, seeing if it's right for the journal, matching their scope, their standards.
A sniff test, making sure the research is good enough.
Exactly. If it passes, the editor sends it out to reviewers, experts in that specific area of research.
So a panel of specialists, each one examining the work from their own angle.
Perfectly put. They're hunting for flaws, gaps in logic, data problems, anything making the findings questionable.
Trying to poke holes like a lawyer would, but for better science in the end, right?
Right, precisely. They give constructive criticism, suggest revisions, point out where more evidence is needed, or clearer interpretations.
So not just yes or no, but actually helping improve the research.
Exactly. It's a collaboration, even if it doesn't always feel like it, to the researchers getting reviewed.
I bet. Like getting your big essay back, covered in red ink, nerve-wracking, but hopefully helps you in the long run.
Good analogy. And usually this is blind reviewers don't know who wrote it. Keeps things objective, unbiased.
No bias, no playing favorites then.
Not if it's working right. It's about the science being judged, not the scientist.
Level playing field. Okay, so reviewers have picked it apart, given their feedback.
Yeah.
Then what? Back to the editor.
Back it goes. Editor's like the mediator now, weighing all that feedback, the strengths and weaknesses.
Synthesizing it all, making a judgment call, and then
the
thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing.
They have a lot of say, but the final decision. Usually the editor-in-chief, editor recommends, but the EIC has the final word. Accept, reject, or send back for revisions.
Checks and balances, like a science democracy. Editors and reviewers are the representatives, making sure only the best gets published.
I like that. System's not perfect, but it's about keeping the research in journals like sleep top-notch.
Which is good to know. For those of us relying on these journals, right, we want the research we're reading to have been through it all, come out stronger.
Exactly. Trust in the process. Experts have checked it out.
Speaking of experts, you mentioned Sleep Reviewer Academy earlier. What is that, training those scientific detectives?
You could say that. It's pretty new, all about training the next wave of reviewers.
Very cool. A reviewer boot camp, teaching them how to critique, how to evaluate research properly.
That's it. Being a reviewer is tough. You need specific skills, attention to detail, critical thinking, knowing research methods.
Not for everyone, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But vital. So much research out there. Got to have qualified people sorting through it all.
Exactly. That's where the Academy steps in, making sure peer review stays strong, reliable.
Fantastic initiative. Paying it forward, making sure sleep science is in good hands going forward.
It's an investment in the field, absolutely.
Okay, so we've done the what and the why of peer review. But what makes a good reviewer? What are they looking for in those applicants?
Well, knowing sleep science is key, but also that keen eye for detail, seeing the big picture and the little details, being committed to good science.
So not just loving sleep, but loving good science.
Exactly. They can spot a problem from a mile away, see bias, know the difference between a real finding and just a coincidence.
A sixth sense for errors.
You could say that. Needs a certain mindset, skeptical but open-minded too. Critical but fair. See the good in the bad.
Sounds tough, but so rewarding. Knowing you're shaping research, only the best stuff gets published. That's pretty amazing.
It is. Reviewers, they're the unsung heroes. Don't always get the credit, but they're essential.
The secret ingredient that makes it all work.
I like that. And speaking of ingredients, there's a crucial part of sleep we haven't even mentioned. Huge in publishing these days.
Oh. Don't leave me in suspense.
Open access publishing, and trust me, it's changing the game.
And we're back. Final part of our sleepy journey. The journal that's like a dream come true for sleep science geeks or, just me.
And we left off at something pretty big, open access.
Right. And I'll admit, I thought it was just a buzzword at first. But after reading what you sent, this is huge.
It is. A total change in how we think about science. It used to be. Research was locked up, right? Expensive journals, paper article, only those who could afford it got access.
Created a real divide, didn't it? The haves and have-nots of research.
Exactly. Limited a lot of researchers, especially those without funding or in developing countries, not even just them. Clinicians needing to keep up to date, people making policy, the public. Anyone curious, really?
So open access is about breaking down those walls. Everyone gets invited to the knowledge party.
You got it. Sleep, More and more journals, they're letting authors publish open access now. Anyone online can read their work totally free.
Get out.
Yeah.
I could go read a groundbreaking study in sleep right now. Cost me nothing.
That's the beauty of it. No fees, just free-flowing knowledge.
Amazing. Think of it, students anywhere learning about sleep therapies, doctors in under-resourced areas seeing the latest research, even just me satisfying my sleep nerd curiosity.
Exactly. And it could even speed up discoveries. Researchers share freely, you get more collaborations, new ideas, findings get used in the real world faster.
Okay, I'm sold. Open access is awesome.
Right.
But how does sleep afford it? They still have costs, right? Editing, reviewing.
Of course, but open access changes the money part. Less about subscription fees, more about authors paying a publication fee.
So readers don't pay, the researchers do.
Basically. Different way to think about it. But a lot of researchers, they're fine with it. Means their work reaches more people, has a bigger impact.
Makes sense. You're passionate about your research. Open access is the way to go. Curious, though, are there different kinds of open access? Some more open than others?
Good catch. There are. Sleep uses a few different Creative Commons licenses.
Creative Commons, I've heard that. It's like copyright, but more flexible.
Exactly. Standardized licenses. Researchers can let others use their work, but how they let them use it varies. Some licenses, you can even use the work commercially, change it up. Others, more restricted.
So researchers choose how open they want to be.
Yep. Sleep has guidelines about which license fits what research, encourage sharing, but still protect authors' rights.
Finding that balance. So, big picture, what does this mean for sleep science, for how science gets published in general?
Exciting time to think about it. Open access could really shake things up. More discoveries, faster, because it's easier to work together, share what we know. And like you said, it levels the field. More voices, more backgrounds, contributing to understanding sleep.
Taking all these amazing sleep discoveries, instead of locking them away, we're throwing open the doors, letting the knowledge shine.
I love it. It's about knowledge for everyone. A more inclusive science community, where anyone can help us understand sleep and everything about it.
Couldn't have said it better. This Sleep Deep Dive has been incredible. Rigorous science, the behind-the-scenes of publishing, the future with open access. But most of all, just a huge appreciation for sleep researchers and the work they do.
It's a constantly changing field, driven by passion, wanting to understand the sleeping mind, help those struggling with sleep problems.
And more accessible than ever, thanks to journals like Sleep, pushing boundaries of the science and how they communicate it.
So next time you're drifting off to your listeners, remember there's a whole world of research happening while you dream.
And hey, maybe you listening will make the next big sleep discovery. Until then, sweet dreams, and keep exploring those fascinating ideas.